Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Today is the 7th of November, year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, a.k.a. Moton Noah. It's a sad and dark day. Fellas, we got to group up. I want to start the show with this. Normally, I would save this sort of the odds and ends, the tchotchkes, the trinkets of our culture for the end of the episode, and I like to start with ball up top, but this just happened a couple hours ago. We are about, fellas, get in here. We got to do a little powwow, a little group hug, because as of this taping, we're out of maybe 4 hours removed from GTA 6 getting delayed again. It happened again for the second time. I think the game was supposed to be out by now originally. It was either September, October, November, I don't know. Fall of this year was when it was originally supposed to release. I think most people knew that wasn't going to happen, and then when it got delayed until May of 2026, everybody's like, yeah, okay, valid. And Rockstar kept everybody fed. A nice little apology was releasing a second trailer of the game that gave everybody a way more in-depth look at the world, and more specifically the characters that we will be playing as. But even then, there are still, a lot of questions. But they gave us a really nice second trailer. I got to tell you, man, second delay here. Yeah, it still doesn't feel great, but it's just kind of like, yeah, sort of such is life, par for the course. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I'm kind of expecting there to be another one. I'm kind of waiting for I think this is maybe a 2027 game, because if you look back, I think Red Dead 2 got delayed 3 times, which pushed it back, I think it was 2 years. And then another game, which isn't Rockstar, but, just in the sort of AAA open world, like, oh my God, the development into this game. And in that sort of pantheon, Cyberpunk also got delayed, I believe, 3 times. And I don't remember how many years that, if it was also 2 years or whatever it ended up being. But, these are 2 major games that got delayed. I mean, with Red Dead, to say that it was worth the wait and all this is a gross understatement. I think anybody at this point who's played the game, which is going to be a majority of you, I think, knows that it's one of the single most detailed and just one of the best games that's ever been made, period. And so it is one of those instances where it's like, well, if they're going to, it's okay if they're going to take their time, to make everything right. You want a perfectly polished game if you're going to wait this long. And that's maybe a subtake to what I just said, is like, well, we've already waited, 12 years ago that GTA 5 came out? What's 2 more, What's another year? Because at this point, we will be waiting. We're just under a year away from this new release date, which will make it, what is that, then 13 years. What's 1 more year? What's 2 more years? I guess that's fine. Cyberpunk, certainly, when it originally released, was not worth the wait and was an absolute disaster. Not in the same way that No Man's Sky was, but each of those games did have like a resurgence because the developers were so committed to the vision. And with No Man's Sky, their way of making it up to this sort of gaming community with how much their game sucked when it was like the vanilla edition of that game, just really, we were kind of sold the bill of goods that we all wanted to return. And I don't remember who develops that game, but the studio responded by that game came out almost 10 years ago. 8 years ago maybe, and to this day they're still just releasing free updates, and like not DLC but free, like everything that they put out for that game. All of these major updates to make it what it is today have been completely cost free, and that's incredibly admirable and something that you do not see in the gaming world, right? Cyberpunk, I think they just fixed like the optimization and like the way that the world interacted with you and vice versa and stuff like that. Honestly, I don't really know. I just know that game got revived in a really major way, and at this point in the timeline is considered a good game at this point, right? And so GTA 6, yeah, it really stinks. It really, really stinks. When you think about the upcoming games that are like the most anticipated, first of all, there's never been a game that's been more anticipated than this, period. Like, the only one that I was talking to somebody about this today, the only game that I can think of that like really, really, really had the global punch that GTA 6 is going to have, I think, is Halo 3. That was the only one that came to mind. I'm sure there's going to be, like Red Dead 2 was massive, but it's just not the same thing. Halo 3 was it was a global event, and the world stopped spinning for like a week when that game came out. And the marketing for that game was outstanding, right? It was second to none. Like, still to this day, I think people are taking notes from the marketing campaign that Halo 3 had. And I don't know, like, Elder Scrolls 6, maybe Elder Scrolls 6 is another one that everybody's kind of waiting for. Maybe not everybody. Not everybody played Skyrim, but I think when that game comes, and we're years and years and years away from that one. Like, if it's not until 2030, I wouldn't be surprised. But I meant to make another point on the Halo 3 thing, but I think the biggest difference between GTA 6 and this isn't a hot take. Obviously, it's the most anticipated game that's, ever been made. But I think the difference between like a Halo 3 and a GTA 6 is just the sort of nature of our digital world. And so it's so much easier. There's just so many more people who are all talking about the same thing at one time. So if nothing else, it at least appears that it is the most anticipated game of all time. And I think any other ones that would come close are ones that are never going to release, like Half-Life 3. You know, you guys remember how many years ago was it that everybody was doing the Half-Life 3 confirmed memes? I swear that was well over a decade ago. That's, you know what I mean? Like, that's never going to happen. But that's just kind of the only thing that off the top of my head that really came close to it. Really stinks, man. That's too bad. We're not going to get to play GTA. 6 months from now, we were all thinking we were going to be playing GTA. We're not. It's fiction. It's been made up by Rockstar. And it's what's interesting is, so the last time that they delayed the game, they made a comment in their little statement where they were like, and, don't worry, there's more to come in the future and blah, blah, blah. They were alluding to the fact that they were going to be dropping a trailer, and they followed through on that promise. And then this time, they didn't say anything. They didn't say anything at all. They were just like, yep, game's coming out later than you thought it was going to come out. Sorry about that. That's our bad. They're also in the middle. Rockstar's in the middle of a whole like union busting thing right now. I guess they just laid off like 40 employees, majority of them from the UK, and 5, 6, 7 of them from the Canadian offices. And it all just comes down to union busting. And this is not really worth getting in the weeds on that because it's not really interesting. Well, it's interesting, but it's not particular. It's not really, we don't really do, we do unions on this show. We are pro-union on this show. I think I think it should just sort of be a global thing that everybody's able to unionize any job. I'm such an idiot. I was talking to one of you guys on the phone, maybe in like June. And the guy was in the military. I think he was in the Navy. It might have been the Air Force. I'm sorry, bro. I don't remember. But he was a service member. Why did I ask him, hey, you're not allowed to unionize, are you? The fuck? No. The United States military unionizing? No GTA 6? Really? Yeah. Yeah. It is going to be so interesting. Because one day it will release. One day it is going to come out. And there will be a noticeable economic impact, like globally. If you want to just narrow it down to the United States, what do I mean by this? Well, first of all, billions of dollars will be spent in a 72-hour span. How many hours is a week? In a week span, billions of dollars will be spent on this game, right? Additionally, you're going to have millions of people around the world staying home from school, calling in sick to work. Electricity bills gonna skyrocket for however long. At the very least, for the day that it releases, electricity bills going to be through the roof. I would say water bills are gonna be through the roof. Guys aren't gonna be showering when they're playing GTA 6. You know what I mean? So maybe not that. Here's my thing. Maybe while this delay is happening, we make it so I don't have to play it in 30 frames. How about that? I'm a big member in the GTA subreddit. I'd never participate in anything, but I'm there, and I read everything that everybody says. And the amount of people, and this transcends the GTA community. This is all gamers. I think anybody who tells me that I need to stop being a baby because, like, oh, who cares if you're playing in 30 frames? I do. It's 2025. If I'm hard capped on a PlayStation 5 at 30 FPS, something has gone horribly wrong in the development here. Look, this game is going to be 400 gigs. I get it. But we have the technology. We have the hardware to run this shit. Sure, when it eventually, a year, however long after the game originally releases, when they port it to PC, sure, like then I guess I can... We've heard, some comments about like, well, on the PS5 Pro, you should get about 60 frames. I don't have a PS5 Pro, and I'm not getting a new damn PlayStation just so I can play this in 60 FPS. Well, Nick, it sounds like you're going to have to settle for 30. Bullshit. You've delayed this game a full year. Give me my 30 frames. And as another little mini piece of commentary on that, FOV. FOV doesn't matter for Grand Theft Auto, but no worse feeling in the world. And it's truly one of the biggest, like, when I made the switch originally from console to PC, the ability, you play all these games and now suddenly everything that you play has an FOV slider. You become accustomed to it, right? And even in Skyrim, like when I play Skyrim on my computer, there's not, I don't think there is in the settings like an FOV toggle, but all you have to do is open up console commands and it's like 5 button presses away and boom, I got 100 FOV. I got 110 FOV. I remember one time I did like 290 FOV. Yeah, the game is unplayable. There's nothing, you can't see anything. No, but it's just so much better. Like, I felt like I was a better player at Destiny when I made the switch from console to PC because of my FOV. Like, you just feel faster. Obviously, it's your field of view, so you can see more stuff. So if I'm playing PvP. So this is, again, FOV has nothing to do with GTA, but just as another, like, gamer thing. I just wish more games had a toggle for that when it came to console. But, yeah. GTA, really? We're not going to play it? Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. We had a thing on our Moton Noah 2025 bingo sheet. By the way, haven't looked at that thing since, like, January, so I don't even remember what's on it or, like, how we're doing. But what the irony is, I actually do remember one thing, which, as I said, GTA 6 will surpass $1 billion in the first, like, 24 hours. Well, at the time, the game hadn't been delayed at all, so we were like, if it comes out. I think we said in the episode when we were doing the whole bingo sheet, if it doesn't get delayed. And then it did, and then it got delayed to 2026, and then it got delayed again, but it's staying inside of 2026. So we're going to have to roll that one over, but it's a dangerous game, because if it gets delayed one more time, it's absolutely going into 2027, and so I don't want to have to, it doesn't really matter, but GTA, really? Just keep saying that over and over until I run out of things to say, which apparently I have. You want to do something weird? You want to do something different for this episode? Where usually I say, hey, we do all this knucklehead stuff at the end of the episode, and usually we like to start with ball. Do you want to just reverse it today while we're already doing this? Instead of let's just stay on like weird stuff today, because I haven't done. It's been like 2 weeks since I've done like political brain rot stuff, and I think maybe we're due for it. Because have you seen this? Have you heard about this, ladies and gentlemen? The United States of America has gone woke again. We've gone woke again. Zohran Mamdani has won the mayoral election in the lovely city of New York, the Big Apple. And, I don't know. Inshallah, Habibi. Ana oridu dhalik. I like it. I want some more of that. Now, I did not vote for Zohran, not because I didn't want to, but because I don't live in New York. I don't live there, so I couldn't vote for him. I got to tell you, man, I don't know... In my life, we talk about Halo 3. You know what? And this makes, oh boy, how well does this work? Halo 3 came out in, I think, 2007, and, GTA 6, we're using that as a sort of touchstone. That's coming out next year, hopefully, fingers crossed. What I was about to say, Zohran Mamdani ran the best and most effective campaign I have ever seen in my life, and if it is not number one, then it is a close number two to Barack Obama when he won the presidential election in 2008. Now, granted, I was a kid. I was 10 years old when that happened, but I remember it very vividly. I remember being so, like, it was just cool to me to see a guy who was so active in the community, and, well, I say community, the sort of broader community of the United States, and he's actually going around and he's doing fun stuff. It's easier for Zohran, I think, to do it the way that he did in New York. That guy was everywhere. He was everywhere. He would go to Knicks games, and then he would take the train to a gay club, and he would be there until 2 o'clock in the morning, just like going nuts, being like, vote for me. You want chicken on rice? You want lamb on rice from a halal truck? Well, it's $10. How do we get it down to $8? And then when he's done doing that at 3 o'clock in the morning, guess what? He's up and he's in the streets mobilizing at 6 a.m. He is in the community. And he's connecting with his constituents in a way that we don't see anymore. Do you know why? Because all these guys are 100 years old. All these guys are 100 years old. They can't do it. They cannot do it like he did. Now, again, it is easier for Zohran because it's in a vastly more concentrated area, and you're not in Iowa one day and in Minnesota the next, and then in Arizona the next. It's easier to do what Zohran did when you're running for mayor. But boy, oh boy, was it refreshing to see somebody like wanting to engage and actually treating people like real. And we haven't really talked about him very much at all on this show. to be honest. I mean, for the last year that he's sort of been in the American political zeitgeist, slowly but surely. Originally started polling at 1%, and then fast forward to just a couple of nights ago, and again, man, he won the damn election. So cool. But I one of the reasons I hadn't talked about it, and this is another thing, I was talking to one of you guys on the phone about this, a week or two ago. I was like, I'm just tired of the fact that we as Americans have to care about what happens in New York. Most of us don't live there. And the fact that this has become the one thing that we all have to have an opinion on is very annoying to me. It's not, I'm not wrong, by the way, but it's naive. It's naive to say that because one of, if not the political epicenters of the United States is New York City. And so, I don't know, I think for a guy like Zohran who wants to achieve what he wants to achieve, is it lofty? I think there are a lot of people who could get in his way and then point at, we don't need to get into that right now. I'm just saying, if something goes well in New York, it's not inconceivable to think that it would, the trickle effects of that going around the country. And I think more, and I'm not even really talking about policy. I mean, I am, but if you want to sort of broaden the scope on that, and we're not talking about policy at all, because the truth is that most people don't care about that. I would say that there's certainly the pendulum, it didn't swing in the opposite direction. It did not. But there was an interesting tick. And this is something that do I want to do the Nick Fuentes thing yet? Let's wait. Let's put a pin in that right now. Let's keep this positive. Let's keep this light. Let's keep talking about Zohran. He and his wife met on Hinge. I read a funny rumor. This would be funny. This would be funny if this was true. I read a rumor that they actually met on Raya, and they don't want to admit that because, look, I don't know how many of you know what Raya is. You and I can't get on there. You and I aren't getting on there. You have to apply. You have to have notoriety. You have to have status. You have to be famous to some degree, right? I worked with some people in California, and there was one guy specifically who for months was trying to get on there, and he kept trying to get through all of these connects. He knew people that worked on the back end of the app, and he kept trying to be like, no, look, I did all this stuff. And it was really funny because he just really wanted to be on there. Guess what? That guy's married now to somebody who's a damn millionaire. So how well did that work out for him, right? Now, they could not admit that they met on Raya, because then that would, again, that sort of, the barrier of see, I'm just like you, suddenly gets a little bit thicker. That barrier gets a little bit thicker. I don't think this is actually true, but again, I did think it was funny. The first lady of New York City, first of all, incredibly chic Syrian woman. She's Syrian, so what she is. I only know 2.5 Syrians, and if I can count her, she's the half. Lovely people, but the two that I know are from Syria, so they're also deeply traumatized people. Very, very kind people, though. Sort of just goes hand in hand with being from the Middle East, I think, is those people. Very hospitable. I think very, very hospitable people. No, she's just very funny. Born in 1997, which is insane. That's crazy. He's, 34? Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Really cool. I just think it's exciting that there is that there's a leftist candidate that people are, motivated to go to the polls for and not doing it as a chore. I think that's really cool. On the flip side of that, though, what I don't think is very fucking cool at all is that you are now starting to see establishment Democrats pat him on the back like they were supporting him the entire time, and they weren't trying to force Cuomo down New Yorkers' throats and being like, no, he's actually your guy, and he is the leftist that you all want Zohran to be. And then as soon as it was clear, the polls hadn't even fucking closed yet, and they were like, yep, Zohran won. And the margin, I don't know what it ended at, but it didn't end up being that massive, but it was enough early on that, yeah, there was just no way. It's encouraging. We talk about those same establishment Democrats who I don't believe, and I think most of you will agree with this, do not align or reflect what the, what 18 to 34-year-olds believe in this country. And I think some of that stems from like Nancy Pelosi is a good example. I mean, she announced today that she's finally going to fuck off and go away. I think her term ends in 2027. She's not going to run for re-election. So she's been in Congress for a million years. And I think it's people like her, the Democrats like her, who are just a million years old and they're so afraid of no longer being in power that passing over the baton is really scary to them, right? I also think it was weird I'm still confused on if Obama was like chill with him or not. There was a lot of back and forth about did he endorse him, because like he didn't not endorse him, but he also didn't just explicitly say that he was. I kind of got out of the weeds on that one because I didn't particularly care, because the truth is that well, I don't know, man. I'm excited to see maybe where this leads. You know, I think we saw authenticity on a campaign trail that I don't even know if we saw that with Obama, to be honest with you, brother. I think, and this is you want me to get in my bag a little bit, pull a name out of my bag. Beto O'Rourke was pretty decent at this too when he was running for president in, or it wasn't when he was he running for president? What year would this have been? I want to say it was 2016, but I don't think it could have been. This was like 2018. So no, I think he was probably running for governor of Texas. Is that what it was? What am I trying to think? And then did he run in 2020 for president? I must be thinking of when he was running just specifically in Texas. He's a very, very charismatic speaker, and I think that he was able to get through to a younger audience. But I think the problem with him just ended up being that he was really, really good at talking about gun control and talking about how gun violence had affected his life, because there had just been a mass shooting in El Paso. It might have been at like a Walmart. And so that hit close to home for him. And so he was able to speak very, very passionately about it. And that obviously is something, you know, gun violence in America that's kind of like our thing. It's like our whole thing. And so for somebody to speak passionately about that is very admirable, but also it's kind of like, yeah, you know, tens of millions of people can do it, but it's a message that resonates with a lot of people is the point, right? And then anything else that you asked him a question about, he was just like, I fucking hate guns. Okay, Beto. So he was a funny guy. And then where's he now? I don't even know what he does anymore. I have no idea. Zohran won. Really, really cool. Really, really cool stuff. On the flip side of that, I wanted to talk about this in the last episode. And I didn't get... It's not that I didn't get the chance. I just stopped myself from doing it. So Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson did an interview together. At this point, what was it, like 2 weeks ago? I think it's interesting that Nick Fuentes is doing he's been on like a press run recently. He did, what's that cat's name? That big, dumb, idiot loser, Dave Smith. Is that his name? Literally just a fake guy. He just made up a guy. Dave Smith. Is that his name? I was going to say Dave Ramsey. That's that idiot who does all the money. It's got to be Dave Smith, right? Nick Fuentes does his show, and I'm like, wait, you guys don't even fuck with each other. Like, why is Nick Fuentes doing this? And then he goes on Tucker? Alex Jones, like a couple days before the Tucker episode drops with Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones is like, I think Nick Fuentes, the interview is going to be dropping soon, and he's going to be doing Tucker. And I was like, no way. I don't believe you, Alex Jones. And then it happened. I'm like, wait a minute. Like 3 months ago, I think this was in July, so like 4 months ago, Tucker Carlson was talking. I have the clip somewhere. Tucker Carlson was talking to someone, and he called Nick Fuentes, quote, a weird little gay kid in his mom's basement, unquote. I don't know if Tucker Carlson has ever made me laugh that hard before. I know that he hasn't, because I don't really laugh at shit that he says, right? So I'm like, okay, so they're kind of starting to reconcile something here. I understand. I'm very acutely aware of what the connective tissue is, and that certainly played out in the interview. You know, when they would bash AIPAC or they would pass along anti-Israeli sentiments, I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess this makes sense why you guys would be talking to each other. But the point that I'm trying to make here is Nick Fuentes is going on these shows that have these massive audiences, and he himself has a massive one, but it's a different one. It's certainly a different one and a more nationalist one, and to put it bluntly, I would say a scary one. And so I think for him to start doing these more like quote unquote normie shows, and also, like, not be that wild on them. Like, not be that wild. He's not coming across as, like, a moderate conservative or, like, even, like, a... No, like, in the Tucker thing, he did say one or two things that definitely got Tucker a little rattled. Namely, when he was like, I love Joseph Stalin. I love that guy. He was a fierce leader, and he cared about what happened in his country, and he was about Russia first. Russia first. Tucker was like, okay, I don't really fuck with that at all. But it was interesting to see... Just, you know, I don't know, Tucker dealing with a guy that he didn't know how to rein in if shit started going left, you know? I don't know. Nick Fuentes sort of infiltrating these normie programs to sort of... I don't... He's doing this America First thing, man, and him and Tucker are doing this America First thing. And again, that just stems from anti-Israeli sentiments. And we've talked about this a little bit on this show. There's a Venn diagram that has started to cross in American politics between the furthest reaches of the right and the depths of the left, right? And that Venn diagram crosses in the middle when it comes to AIPAC and when it comes to Israel and when it comes to the atrocities that have been committed in these last couple of years, right? Well, last couple of years, in the last fucking 60 years, 70 years, right? But you know what I'm trying to say, right? Now that we all have 4K cameras, it's a lot harder to hide the evidence. And that's kind of where it crosses, but it's for different reasons, right? Where it's like the Nick Fuenteses of the world, and Tucker's not doing it in this way, but the Nick Fuenteses of the world are just like, they just hate, they're like, I hate the Jews, and he's the guy who's always talking about how much he loves Hitler, right? So that's why he's doing it, and that's what we would denounce on this program, because it's fucking insane. We fought a war over that shit, and anybody who self-identifies, or self-reports, I should say, as a Nazi, deserves to get killed and shot in the fucking head, right? Shit hasn't changed in the last 80 years since that motherfucker put a bullet in his head in a bunker in Berlin, right? Like, that's still what it is. Whereas, like, leftists are just like, yeah, I don't know, from, like, a humanitarian perspective, I think it seems fucked up to starve children and to, I don't know, to redirect aid elsewhere, or to, when you do actually let aid get into Gaza, you bring in bags of flour, but they're laced with fucking opioids, so all these people just get addicted to drugs. You starve these people. We don't need to, you guys know, I know if you listen to the show, I don't need to do the whole thing. I don't need to run down the laundry list of fucking war crimes that have been, committed. And it's weird sometimes to see some things that Nick Fuentes will say, and I'm like, it's weird that you're not wrong. It's weird that you're not wrong, but we're just not on the same. We got in different cars and we drove to the same destination, but we took two completely different routes. You know what I mean? So when he's going off about fucking AIPAC and how, like, why is a foreign entity, and you're gonna tell me, like, well, no, it's not. It's a domestic one. No, the fuck it isn't. No, it isn't. Why are they allowed to funnel millions and billions of dollars into American politics? That just, like, directly influences it, right? Like, the NBA has a rule where it's like, you can't be, it's not that you can't be like a foreign owner, but you can't be, like, the Saudis can't buy an NBA team, right? Like, that language is in the CBA. And, like, the point that people like to make is that I don't think AIPAC should be allowed to donate to any political candidate, because then that completely warps their brain and they're fucking compromised at that point, because you're not working on behalf of America's interests. You're working on behalf of Israeli interests. And those two things do not go hand in hand. They do not. They don't. I'm listening to these two talk about this, and then there's this New York Times article that comes out immediately after that says something to the effect of, I don't remember who the quote was from, but they were like, 60% of the under 25 staffers in the United States government are groypers, those are Nick Fuentes' boys, which means they're fucking Nazis. You're not a groyper and not a white nationalist. You know what I mean? Woo. Woo. Those 4chan boys are in the government. They're in the government. It was crazy. There was even a point near the tail end of the interview where Nick Fuentes was giving Tucker Carlson, like, game about porn. It was very bizarre. They spent, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 minutes. I don't know how long they talked about this. It might not even been very long. But Nick Fuentes is speaking so in depth about porn addiction and what it does to men and, like, OnlyFans women and all of this stuff, and Tucker Carlson's like, really? I had no idea. I had no idea this was such a problem. The guy wouldn't push back on much of anything that Nick was saying, and that was what was weird to me. Because I thought that what Tucker was seeing was a guy who was incredibly articulate. Nick is a very, very good speaker, and I think that's his most valuable weapon, and I think that's what makes him so dangerous, is how good of a speaker he is. He just kind of kept nodding his head and, like, giving him the opportunity to sort of explain who he is. And he would never push back on anything. And then by the end of it, they sort of formed this, this coalition essentially against Ben Shapiro. Essentially, that's what it's become. Because Turning Point USA, if it wasn't already an indoctrination machine for, like, I don't know, white nationalism. Now I don't know what it's going to become. Now that Big Ben Shapiro is fronting the spear for that thing, riding the boat. He's drawing a boat for Turning Point USA. We'll see, man. We'll see. That was Tucker Carlson and that was Nick Fuentes. You guys want to talk about some ball? Do a little bit of ball for you guys. Not only are we going to do ball, we're going to do another Pistons segment. But hold on and stay with me, because in doing this Pistons segment, I will sort of like bounce around and talk about other teams and talk about other players. So just strap in and hey, maybe your favorite team, maybe your favorite player will get mentioned. But I do want to talk about the Pistons, and I'm not issuing an apology yet. That's not what I'm doing. But I do want to raise my hand halfway. I'm close, because we're only 8 games into the season. As far as the day that I'm taping this, Pistons are 6-2, about 10% of the way. Yeah, it's about 10% of the way through the season. Sitting in the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. 1 seed actually is the Chicago Bulls, one of the only teams that the Pistons have lost to. And the thing that I'm like medium putting my hand up for is I don't know if we need a guy. I don't know if we need to trade anybody on this team. I don't think we can. That's like the drum that I've been pounding since the Knicks series ended. And Trajan Langdon has been the one that's like, no. I've talked about this ad fucking nauseum on this show in the last couple of episodes, right? So I kind of want to spare you for the regular listeners and not do this whole thing again. But just in case there's anybody who's, listening that doesn't normally, I'll try to make this as quick as I can. I have a problem with every single general manager or president of ops in Detroit all saying the exact same thing, which is we're trying to do this the right way, and we're trying to build through the draft, and we're trying to build something that's sustainable, right? And we can have success long term. And we don't want to push our chips in the middle if it is not entirely necessary, just to blow up all of the progress that we've made. That sentiment isn't wrong, and I completely agree with it, except for when like some of these teams in the last couple of years on their, during their ascent have clearly shown signs of just needing something else, right? They just need a little bit extra punch. And I think the Tigers, their bats in the tail end of the season, post All-Star break, and even going into the playoffs, I think there was nothing more indicative of like, dude, they just need a guy who can actually hit the ball, than especially that Mariners series. Right, and I don't think anything's going to come of that, but maybe they'll get Bregman, maybe they'll go get like Bo Bichette. I don't know. I have no idea, right? And so my problem with the Pistons is I just think they're going to need another guy who can put the ball in the net if Cade's having one of those nights, right? And that's where everybody would say, well, that's supposed to be Jaden Ivey. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I'm here to tell you something, man. This team is playing a brand of basketball, a real brand, playing within a real life identity. The defense that this team is able to play through these first 8 games is astonishing, both individually and in a broader sense, the team defense that they're playing. I think the day that I'm taping this, they rank number 1 in the NBA in defensive field goal percentage, right? What's crazy is I think Washington might be like number 2. I might have that wrong. But we're seeing performances. Isaiah Stewart, I think, every single game to start this season, or I think the streak might go back to last season. It might be 12 or 13 straight games that Isaiah Stewart has recorded at least 1 block. The dude is taking on like a Draymond Green role for these Pistons. It's shocking. It's shocking. You can't play these guys in the paint, and then conversely, it's almost like a 90s brand of basketball. To be honest with you, the physicality that they play with on defense, and then on the opposite end of the floor, their ability to control the paint. I don't know as of this taping where they are in terms of points in the paint per game. I know that against Utah, which, yeah, it's Utah, but this has been a thing for the whole season so far. There was a point, I don't know, maybe it was like the third quarter. Pistons had damn near 50 points in the paint. I swear to God, the Jazz were just over 20. And that's a Jazz team that, I don't know, they have a lot of huge dudes, like a lot of big guys. I know that the day that they played that game, Walker Kessler, it was announced that he tore his labrum, and he's going to be out for the rest of the season. That really stinks. I'm pretty sure it's a contract year for him, too. That's just terrible, and that really stinks for him, especially because there was a non-zero chance that somebody was going to go after him this season, and now they're kind of deprived of that, unless they just want him for the cheap, a little bit cheaper. It's Danny Ainge, and he's done some terrible business this offseason where he hasn't been robbing people, and I would argue that maybe he's been getting robbed. So it's unknowable, but they got Lauri Markkanen, they got Yusuf Nurkic, they got who's that other kid's name? I can see him. I can't think of his name. I'm looking at his face. They got a lot of big guys on that team. And so for the Pistons, who have a lot of undersized players, if we're being honest, like Duren is massive. He's a freeway overpass. But Isaiah Stewart very famously is like, I don't want to say, I mean, he is undersized, but that doesn't matter. Like, it's the same way that Draymond was undersized. You know what I mean? And it just didn't matter because of the way that he's able to play defense, especially if it's not just individually, but especially with his team. And so, I don't know, you see a guy dribble into the corner, and it's like, boom, we're going to throw Stu and Holland over there, and we're going to trap you. And then the guy's going to try to pass out of it, and Asar's going to tip the pass. And it's going to be a loose ball. Cade's going to track it down. Now we're running in transition. Trailer, lob, Jalen Duren. That's 2 points. That's just like every game. I don't know how you could trade any of these guys. Right now, I don't know how you could with the way that they're playing. Because it doesn't feel to me like like they're just kind of having a fun start to the year. Like, it doesn't feel fluky. Maybe that's the word. This doesn't feel like they're just kind of playing the right teams. And like the Bulls, I was teasing Jacob, aka Rusty Buckets, about this last night. He was like, yeah, man, the Bulls, I think they're really good. And, Josh Giddey and blah, 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 all this stuff. He's got a long history with Josh Giddey and really not liking him as a player. And he's finally starting to come around on him. And I mean, the Bulls are like 6-1. I was like, honestly, girl, like if my team could play 5 of their first 7 games at home, like maybe we would be 6-1 too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that, where like I think not a hot take. I think what the Pistons are doing is demonstrably and well, that's not even the right word. It's just more real than what Chicago's doing. I'm not here to, compare them or anything like that, but I think you could say what I'm saying the Pistons aren't doing is what's happening in Chicago. Whereas, because they don't have a superstar. That's like AK's whole thing is he's like, very admittedly in the past, and even maybe recently, he's been like, yeah, we don't need a superstar. We're cool with just having like 10 players who are like fine. It's like, yeah, okay. No, that's worked in the past. Teams have very famously won championships by just like having a bunch of players who are like fine and like pretty good. The example that you might be screaming at your radio right now is like, well, Nick, what about the '04 Pistons? Yeah, people say that all the time, that it was just like a team of role players. And to an extent, I understand completely what they're saying. But it's also, it just completely erases the reality that was Ben Wallace being one of the best defenders of all time. Then he win like 4 Defensive Player of the Years. Like, what are we talking about here? Defensive superstar. No, he's a damn defensive superstar. But that's nitpicky, and, we don't got to go down that road, despite the fact that I'm the one that drove the car down here. So let's get back to it. The Pistons are real. I think this is real. I really do. And I think that you're seeing like a Magic team that saw an Eastern Conference. They saw a window in the Eastern Conference that they wanted to attack, and they went and they got Desmond Bane and loved that trade. And I don't know where they're at in the standings right now. I think if the play-in happened, right now, I think they might. I think that's where they are right now. And so it's funny to see a team. It's truly like a cautionary tale. Again, for the first damn 10 games of the season. And this is going to change by January. The standings are going to be completely different. And who knows, by then, it's probably not even going to take that long. I'm going to be back on the, okay, I think we might need a guy thing, Because, and the reason that it doesn't feel fluky to me, right? I want to expand on that a little bit more. Is because the Pistons, again, are dominating teams down low. Cade Cunningham, I'll get to the Cade and Duren numbers in just a second. The important bit here is they've done it this entire season without Marcus Sasser. He's been hurt the entire time. They've done it without Jaden Ivey. Has not played this season either. Tobias has been out for, I don't know, the last 3 games maybe? So they haven't had one of their key veterans, right? One of their key, like, okay, Cade's not on the floor. We can probably give the ball to Tobias Harris, and maybe he'll go give us a bucket. He hasn't been playing either. Karis LeVert, was it a hamstring that he had? He missed like 2 or 3 games to start the season, at the beginning of the season at least. And so these guys are just stepping up. Where we didn't believe they had depth 6 months ago, despite the fact that they haven't made that many changes. Like, yeah, Duncan Robinson's cool. He's been really cool this year. It's another guy that, am I going to be wrong about him too? That's too bad. I mean, it's not. I benefit if I'm wrong about it. Karis LeVert, we just get these Michigan guys. That's why. And there's another take, too. And this has nothing to do with how good or bad the Pistons are. But, dude, our assistant coaches are so cool. Like J.B. Bickerstaff, head coach, love him. Cool guy. Really cool guy. Really animated guy, too. He's really funny. The assistant coaches, dude, it's like Luke Walton, awesome. Sidney Lowe, awesome. Who's the other one? I was just looking. I'm looking at his face. I was doing this mental exercise when I was watching the game last night, and I was like, say this on the show tomorrow. Who's the other guy that I'm not thinking of? He's another player. He's a player that I really like. Jarrett Jack. We got Jarrett Jack on the... John Beilein wasn't... I don't particularly care for him. He's a Michigan guy, but it's cool that he's here. Pretty sure he's still here. I think that's partially how we ended up with Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert in the first place, is because he's got the relationships with them from when he coached them in college. Is Fred Vinson... Is he still a shooting coach for the Pistons? I think last year was his first year. It's hard to imagine that he's not still there. Come on, man. Come on. I was looking at the Jazz bench the other day, though. I got jump scared. Do I not know ball? I had no idea that this was the thing. Jason Terry is an assistant coach for the Jazz? Huh? I had no idea. I haven't seen that guy's face in I don't know how long. You know how, and this what I'm about to say is not nice at all, but you know how there are some people in the world who just because of the way that I don't want to say just because of the way they look, you don't like them. Right after I do the Nick Fuentes segment. No, I mean like very literally like somebody who's just like gross looking. Jason Terry to me, I just don't like the way that his face just bothers me. And so I've just never really, the way that he would always wear his headband. Like, you remember when John Lester would wear his, he would do like the CC Sabathia thing where he would just like tilt his hat a little bit. Jason Terry would do that like with his headband and it would just piss me off. And then the other piece of this is I'm still mad about the 2011 NBA Finals. The other piece of it is that I am still mad about that. It's the same reason that I don't really care for, what's the kid's name? JJ Barea. As the same reason I don't really care for him. He's another guy that I just don't really like the way that he looks. He's just too stocky. I just don't like it. The Matrix, Sean Marion, we don't have any problems with the Matrix on this show. We like him. Dirk, obviously, he's completely fine. Michael Finley, yeah, he's fine. He's fine. We want to go back even further. Mark Aguirre, cool dude. Really cool dude. Did Dantley play for Dallas? Did he get sent to Dallas in the Aguirre trade? I think he probably did, because that was the point where Adrian Dantley had just turned into a huge shithead, and he was mad that it was Isaiah's team. And he wasn't getting the shots that he wanted to, but that was because he was hooping in Utah. I think is Adrian Dantley one of like the top 15 scorers in the history of the league? At this point, he might not be. Top 20? He's got to be in the top 20. So that guy, like, he could seriously play. He had to have ended up playing in Dallas. So yeah, we'll throw AD in there. Surely he ended up making the Hall of Fame. I don't particularly care about Adrian. Where am I going with this? Where was I going with this? Is the Pistons segment over? Maybe we'll just talk about the Mavericks for a second. I think the Pistons are really good. I think this is real. I think they're really, really good. Let's do a quick thing on the Mavericks, okay? I went into a basketball reference today because I saw a quote from Cooper Flagg. You may have seen that. You've seen this. You heard about this. Cooper Flagg had a quote after they lost to the Pelicans. They lost to the Pelicans. The Pelicans haven't won a game this year. Until the Dallas game. They don't own their first for this upcoming year. It's unprotected. They don't have it. Is it Indiana that has it? Because they traded up to get Derek Queen. A trade that I don't think has been ridiculed enough. And certainly in the immediate aftermath of the draft, it was not criticized enough. How batshit insane that was for them to do. Troy Weaver and Joe Dumars. Not only those two things, but Zion Williamson is going to be out for the next 7 to 10 days. I think he's also got a hamstring issue, right? So, yeesh. Derek Queen, though, is playing very, very well. He's had, I think his last 2 games, he's been playing very, very well. I'm pretty sure in that Dallas game, Sadiq Bey for New Orleans ended up being the leading scorer. He had like 22 or 23, which, by the way, just as a... Oh, I didn't do the Cade and Duren numbers. We'll circle back to that in just a second, okay? I'll just finish this on the Mavs. So, okay, Cooper Flagg, they lose the game, and he has a quote after the game where he's like, man, like, I don't think I've lost this much in, like, ever. Like, to start the season, I don't think I've ever played on a team that has just already lost this many games, and it's worth 7 games into the season. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now, I'm not doing, like, a Trouble in Paradise thing. I actually just want to say, it is crazy, because you hear this in the NFL. you will hear, usually it's a quarterback that will say something like this. And it's funny, these kids, whether it's basketball or whether it's the NFL, spend their entire childhood, all of their formative years are spent on, in a lot of times, like, the best, prep school or the best, like, whatever school. And then where they go 16-0, or if they're playing basketball, they go damn 40-0 in a season, like whatever it is. They're playing for the best AAU teams, and they're not losing games because everybody else on their team is also going to their respective league. You know what I mean? And then they go to college. They go to Duke. They go to Alabama. They go to LSU. They go to these big time programs where everybody else is also going to the league. So they don't need to, they win a lot of games, and in some instances they win national championships, and then they get to whatever their respective league is, and there's the reality check of everybody here was the same. Everybody here went through the exact same upbringing, and everybody here is a winner. Everybody here is an athlete, and everybody here is on a completely different level. And so I think sometimes that, I don't want to call it culture shock or like a reality check, but, for lack of better phrasing, it is just funny. And I think it shows a lot of humility for these guys when they're able to point that out. Like, damn, this sucks. I didn't realize I was going to lose. I thought I was just going to come in here and this was going to be awesome. I'll never forget when Cade was doing pre-draft stuff. But at this point, when he did this interview, he did an interview with, it was Old Man and 3, did 30 minutes with JJ Redick. And we didn't know that the Pistons were going to be taking him. They just got bounced from the tournament. And, he's just talking. JJ's like, what are your goals for your rookie season, wherever you end up? And Cade was like, I want to go to the playoffs. Year one, I want to make the playoffs. Again, not uncommon that you hear players say this, if it's not just for the cameras and for the whatever. It's because they actually believe it. I think more often than not, they delude themselves into believing that it will. Well, it's funny how that ended up happening because, first of all, Cade played the first 12 games of the season and then I had to get surgery on it. I think it was his shin. And then it was just done for the rest of the year. And then it was was it his second season or was it do I even have that right? I mean, that guy got the shit kicked out of him. I swear it had to have been year 2 when we lost 27 games in a row. Or was it 28 games in a row? I think it might have been 27. And so he was part of that team. And then finally, you stick with the same group of guys long enough and they figure it out. Well, this is supposed to be about Cooper Flagg. Well, you know what I don't think helps? Is this little damn science experiment that Jason Kidd is trying to do. I looked this up earlier, believe it or not. And I got some numbers for you, folks. Do you remember in the preseason when we on this show and collectively around the NBA world saw the Dallas Mavericks roll out a lineup in the preseason, which was Cooper Flagg playing point guard, followed by Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Derek Lively, and Anthony Davis. I believe that's what it was. We all said, wow, Cooper Flagg, he's playing point guard. That's pretty fun. He's literally he doesn't play point guard. That's not his position. But okay, this is what preseason's for. And you got a fun roster. So yeah, let's try some stuff out. Whatever. But when the regular season comes around, let's chill on that. No, it hasn't happened yet. I got the numbers right here. As of this taping, 8 games that Cooper Flagg has played in 264 minutes. Cooper Flagg has logged 39% of his minutes at point guard, 59% of them at shooting guard, and 2% of them at small forward. I think also most recently, what was this I think it might have been for the game that they played against New Orleans. Is it true? That they benched Klay Thompson in the stead of, that's not how you would use this phrase. They benched Klay for D'Lo. Well, that's fine, I guess, because there did seem to kind of be a sort of doghouse effect with D'Angelo Russell that I didn't really understand. I didn't really get what he did in Dallas to deserve the doghouse. But then also just as a precautionary measure, D'Angelo Russell, we're not going to start you. We're just going to we're going to ease you into this. We're just going to give you 15 minutes a game, and then we'll give you 23 minutes, 15 minutes a game for D'Angelo Russell. The fuck would he even be on the team for? Give that guy 15 minutes a game? Got to give him at least 20. I don't know I have no idea how many minutes they've been giving to D'Angelo Russell. I got no idea. But it just feels to me, it's not the same thing, but it is in some way, there's connective tissue. It's tangentially related, synonyms. to when the Spurs were like, Jeremy Sohan, you are a point guard. And then the world, collectively, the basketball gods were like, it's fiction. You made it up. You made it up. I couldn't tell you, gun to my head. I don't know who the Spurs coach is. I don't know what their name is. If I tried, I don't even see a face. I'm not going to know. I'm not going to know. It's Wemby. Victor Wembanyama is the coach of the team. I don't know who the replacement is. I have no idea. Yeah, Dallas Mavericks. I guess there's maybe, I didn't have that much substance in here, but they're really not going to let Cooper just play the position that he's played for his entire fucking life. Maybe I've had it wrong. Maybe I've had it wrong the whole time and I just haven't. Doesn't matter. I wanted to talk a little bit about, let's work this over back to the Pistons for a second. Jalen Duren and Cade Cunningham. Shaq and Kobe? Question mark. People are asking. People are talking about it. Questions are being asked. And there's also got to be at some point, look, we're 10 games into the fucking season. I don't want to do the whole, like, is Cade the MVP? But, you know, he might be. You want to know why I think that? This Utah game, he had 31 and 10. Not only did he have 31 and 10, 19 of them hoes came in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter. If he's not top of the league, he's like top 3 in fourth quarter scoring this year. He's been out of his mind. He scores like 3 points in the first half. It's kind of like, oh, like, okay, like you hope Cade picks that up. He is. He will. He will this year. He will. This is why he got paid what he got paid, is because of what he's able to do in the fourth quarter. He had 19 of them. In a game that was closer than it should have been, but the Jazz were, whatever. I wasn't, even when they were down by, the Pistons were down by 12, and I was like, yeah, they will win this game, which is crazy. It's crazy that I know in my heart they're going to win some of these games. They could be down by 12. I'm like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Now, granted, a 12-point lead in the NBA these days, it's like even a 20-point lead isn't, you can come back from that, like, and it's not that, like in 6 minutes, you know what I mean? But okay, if we work backwards here, Cade had 31 and 10. I'm just going to be doing assists here. 33 and 8, 21 and 18. 18 assists in Mexico City against the Dallas Mavericks. And the game before that, which was home against Orlando, he had 30 and 10. If we flip over to Jalen Duren in that same span, 22 points, 22 rebounds, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 33 points, 10 rebounds, 21 and 13. And then if we go back 2 games before that, 24 and 18. These guys, Jalen Duren cleans it up, and then Cade rewards him on the other end. The other piece of why Duren has been so successful this year has been his ability to draw contact, or at least, because it's not like he wasn't drawing contact before. I think it's tough for a guy like him. Like LeBron has had very famously had this problem for his entire career, and various guys throughout the NBA have this problem when you're built the way that some of these guys are. Like you're too big, and so the contact that you're actually being faced with isn't like noticeable because you just absorb so much of it, right? And so it's not about flopping, but it's just about making that contact more obvious. And so I think that Jalen Duren has just done a way better job at making it as obvious as possible that he is getting hacked, And his volume this year from the free throw line, I think he's shooting like 2 or 2.5 more, but he's shooting like 20% better, right? Like if this guy, you see fucking Danny Avdija, just on this really quick, the guy had like 26 the other day on 17 shots. But the real, he got like 18, he made like 18 free throws. Get out of here, you sick, nasty, disgusting freak. No, Jalen's been amazing, man. We got an email about him. Maybe we should, let's just read that really quick. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. This one comes into us from Jacqueline. Jacqueline, welcome back to the show. I haven't heard from you in a little bit. This is about Jalen Duren. That's the subject line. Nick, watching the final seconds of the Jazz game and saw the most beautiful, it's the complete opposite, and saw the most bullshit successful challenge against Cade. Makes you wonder if these refs can look their wives in the eyes when they go home at night. I want to look into Jalen Duren's eyes all night, though, because he just dropped 22 and 22 and made Salt Lake City's finest look dazed and confused. Were the police officers playing in the Salt Lake City's finest? The police officers were playing in this game. Keontae George as a police officer. Walker Kessler as a police officer definitely checks out. Will Hardy as a police officer, that definitely checks out. Danny Ainge as a police officer, yeah, that definitely checks out. Past tense, Donovan Mitchell as a police officer? Yeah, that definitely checks out. Rudy Gobert as a police officer? Yeah, that definitely checks out. Joe Ingles as a police officer? Yeah, that definitely checks out. Jay Crowder as a police officer? No, actually, that doesn't check out. Let's get back to the email. Jalen Duren has consistently grown, improved, and deepened his game over the first 3 seasons. Every year, his bag gets deeper. His percentages go higher, and his confidence solidifies. Get this. And he's only 21. Not to do a Jason Tatum, quote-unquote, he's only 19 thing, but it is insane to think that this is his 4th season and he turns 22 in a few weeks. His prime is a half decade away. It would be blasphemous for the Pistons to put him in any trade package. His hustle so far this year has been incredible. His defensive impact has intensified, and his ability to be a playmaker is sprouting, and I want him to be on this team when it all blossoms. Give that man that contract. He and Cade can lead this team to the promised land. If Ivy can come back and be everything that people think then the Stones could really take the whole show. What the fuck is an overreaction? I am mortgaging my home to buy Jalen Duren stock from Jacqueline. Yeah, I mean, you can't write it better than that. You can't. We've talked in recent episodes about how the Pistons, I don't want to say are leaving it up to chance. That's not really how this is going, but they are leaving Duren and Ivy both unextended right now. Yeah, we can type up the paperwork on the Jalen Duren contract. He's not going anywhere. I really don't think you can trade anybody on this team. It'll destroy the identity, and I think it'll destroy the culture. Because if you want to be super cynical and you want to, which is what I do all the time when it comes to Jaden Ivey, if you want to be super cynical and you want to say, yeah, if the guy, I don't want to say can't stay healthy, the injury that kept him out of the playoffs was a freak accident. Cole Anthony's just a little bitch, and so he got hurt and he cheated and he killed Jaden Ivey. That was not Ivey's fault. But for whatever reason, if you are feeling motivated to trade him, you're not attaching anything to him. I don't think that you could. And so then the question would be like, well, what would you get in return for Jaden Ivey with like a pick attached, if that's what you wanted to do? That would like make the team better. That's the $1 million question, because I don't really know like the leverage that Detroit has if they want to shop Jaden Ivey, which again they're not going to do. I don't know that, but there's no indication right now that they're going to do that, especially because they've waited to see how this whole thing pans out with all these other guys. Why would it be any different with Jaden Ivey? It won't be. They are very, very excited and very motivated to get him back into this lineup and see how he works into the fold, right? But God forbid if something happened, Well, the leverage that you have with him as an individual asset is controlling his bird rights, and you have the ability to extend him in the middle of that deal, right? And that also helps. I don't know if that actually helps with the money at all. But, okay, so bird rights extended, sign and trade Jaden Ivey and a pick. The value is what? What does that get you? I don't think it's going to be enough to move the needle, and so I just think this team is going to roll with the punches. I don't even think they need Lauri Markkanen. Right now, they don't need him. God forbid a guy gets hurt for 2 weeks, and then I start freaking out a little bit, which is going to happen. I mean, in every episode that I've done since the season has started, I'm talking about Pistons and, trades and shit like that. And I really need to hold myself accountable and just stop for a little bit, I think. Because I don't think they need to do it. Now, I will say, when I went to read Jacqueline's email, there was an email that came in while while we're taping right now. And I'm going to read it. This is blind. I'm blindly reading this, and so we'll see how this goes. Coping Hour subs wow, this came in 5 minutes ago. So literally while Jesus. This comes into us from Matthew. Coping Hour subs @gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. Matthew, welcome to the show, brother. Subject line is Fatherhood Help. So you can see maybe why this would have grabbed my attention. Hey, Nick, obligatory longtime listener, first-time emailer. I've listened to all your commentary on being a dad, and it sounds like one of the hardest things, but also the best/more rewarding things in the world, and I'm kind of lost. I've been with my girlfriend for 2 years, and she is almost 8 months pregnant, and I just don't feel anything yet. Is there anything wrong with me? Did you feel anything? I'm worried he's going to be born, and I'm not going to have this attachment that I thought you always hear everyone says happens instantly. I've been to all the... Man, goddamn, I'm breaking it for 2 seconds. No, brother, this is real. You're not crazy. I'm just telling you right now, this is real. I'm so glad I'm reading this. I'm so happy you sent this in. Seriously, if not just for you and also for me to feel validated, other guys who have had kids or are going through the process of a pregnancy or will have kids in the future, this is real, okay? Let's get back to it. I'm worried he's going to be born. Yep, okay, we read this. I've been to all the ultrasounds. I've seen him move. I've heard his heartbeat, but I just don't feel anything inside me yet in regards to him. Maybe it won't click until he's here, and this is all real. And all my worries will go away with that. But I'm terrified. None of my friends have kids. I'm 24, and my girlfriend is 21. Golly, man. That's hard. Ooh, that's hard. I hope you got. I don't like how the way that I said that, but that's hard. That's a hard age to go through that, especially for your girlfriend. That's really hard, and I hope that you and everybody in her life have shown her a lot of grace, because I think let me finish the email before because there's a lot here, so let me get through with this. None of my friends have kids. I'm 24 and my girlfriend is 21, and don't really have parents to ask these questions to. This also wasn't planned by any means. Yeah, I imagine. So maybe that changes things internally for me and my processing of everything. I'm just looking to see if you had that moment where it all hits you and this is the most unconditional love you've ever experienced. I'm scared because currently I just can't stop thinking of how draining and tiring everything is going to be soon. But all I want to be is a good dad who's there for him and loves him with my whole heart. Your show truly means so much to me. Well, thank you for this, dude. Let's see. Okay, I'm just trying to get to the part where you're not talking about me. Thank you for this, but I'm not going to read it on the show. Means a lot to me, man. Thank you. You said, thanks again, Nick. I'm sure I'll email again. I've been meaning to for a long time now. Cheers from Canada. Sports take. Oh, fuck. Here we go. The Jays losing the World Series was the single most heartbreaking thing I've ever felt in sports. Right behind the Rams' no call in the 2018 NFC Championship game. Yeah, I mean, that's the craziest. I think that's the no pass interference call. It's the craziest no call I think that's ever happened in sports. I've never, even for the 2019 Raptors championship run, have felt Canada be so unified by one team and everybody rooting for them so hard and passionately. That slide into home, which was centimeters away from scoring, breaks my heart. I thought we won it. I thought we did it. Yeah, man, like that would have won the World Series if he just like slid with his hands. Seriously, if he just slid with his hands and if he also took like another step on his lead. Like, was it Rojas that made that throw? I can't believe that play that they made. And then it was literally like the next batter that Pages railroaded Kike Hernandez in the right field wall. Brother, the bases were loaded. Wasn't it the bottom of the ninth, too, that Vladdy led off? And he hit a rocket to center field. And I was like, okay, if he's going to walk off the World Series, that's sick. And then he didn't. Oh, yeah, you're probably right about all that, bro. All right, your actual email here. You're real, dude. You're real. You're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. I'll give you my experience. So I think for some guys, you know, some guys aren't this way, and they do feel that instant attachment. But I think for a guy, sometimes especially when it's your first kid and you're terrified and you have no idea what you're doing and everything, the entire experience is foreign to you and your partner here, right? Like neither of you understand what to expect, especially if it's like the way that it sounds. You don't really have the resources at your disposal to, be asking these questions. And that makes it especially hard. But I think specifically for guys, it can be really challenging when you are not the one who is experiencing the physical changes that your body is going through, Like, for example, when Maddie would go to work and she was 8 months pregnant, or at, any point in her pregnancy, she would go to work, and it was possible for me for 5 minutes, for an hour, to like kind of think about something else. And to just for one reason or another, my head is in another place and I'm just not thinking about the fact that I'm about to be a dad, because I'm not living with that experience. Like presently 24 hours a day for 7 days a week for 9 months, this thing is attached to me. It's in my body. My body is going through these changes, right? No matter what Maddie did, no matter what anybody's partner does when they are the pregnant party, it's unavoidable. It's constantly on your mind. It's constantly, you got problems. You're in pain. You're cramping. You got this. You got that. You know, when you're sleeping and the baby's kicking, it's like, yeah, that can wake you up. Guess who's not getting woken up by that? Me. And so it's easy to, in some moments, like feel detached from the reality of it because it's such a drastic life change. It's completely different. And I'm about to say this, and I hope that I don't like scare you. I really hope that I don't. But it's true. And this is why I kind of reacted the way that I did when you said your ages, because your life's completely different. It's completely different. My brother-in-law last July, a little over a year ago now, he pulled me aside, and he's somebody who like would never otherwise do that. And so that's why I knew it was serious. And he was like, how did you guys know that you guys were ready to have kids? I was like, whoa. I was like, brother, we did not. Because look, we love Roman more than anything we've ever loved anything. But that was not on purpose. Like, we didn't do that on purpose. It just happened. And then we were like, okay, like we've made our bed and this is like, it's fine. Like we're at a point in our lives where, yeah, it's a shock, but it's okay. Like we'll make this work. Her and I were great. And it was like, okay, let's just throw the balls out, you know, let's just see how it goes. But it is just so drastically different for you. And I don't know. Again, I don't know, like resource-wise, parents on either end, like family, siblings, grandparents, aunts, uncles, like whoever. I don't know what support system you guys have, but my biggest recommendation, this is what we don't have, and this is in a lot of ways why it was so hard for us at the beginning and why it's so hard for me individually now. You know, when Maddie goes to work and I'm with Roman all day at home, we don't have a support system. We don't have, you know, grandparents coming over to help us. We don't have anybody coming over to help us. It's us that's doing it, right? And so in a lot of ways, I think you lose your sense of identity. But I don't want to stray too far from this. I want to stay on your email here because, you know, there may even be a point when the baby's born. I'll be honest with you, bro. Going into the delivery, my girlfriend was induced. So I think we were like, I don't know, like a week or two before her due date. But they were like, yeah, it's probably going to be safest if we just induce you and we get you in. And so it's very bizarre when you go in and when you're being induced. You know, the sort of the movie culture, the way that a birth is depicted through media is, you know, your water breaks and you're rushing down the highway and a cop pulls you over and you're like, we got to get to the hospital. And then he gives you a police escort. You know what I mean? Woo. We got a pregnant lady here. And then you rush into a room. No, it's very strange going to the doctor like it's a normal average appointment. But you're going to have a baby. And you know that, like, you leave home knowing the next time you're here, you're going to have, you know what I mean? Like, it just happened in such a structured way. It's just very bizarre the way that it unfolded. And the same way that you have, bro. I went to every single doctor's appointment. I went to every single ultra. I mean, what the hell else was I doing? I had nothing else going on. I wasn't working. So, like, I was there for everything. You know, I hear you on this. In those moments, you know, when you're hearing his heartbeat or you're looking at him on the ultrasound, yeah, you feel something. You feel it. You're like, whoa, that's a real person. But you can't see them physically. So then you fast forward to the actual birth, and I will never forget the feeling of, oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Whoa. You spend so much time, like, creating an image in your head of what this child is going to look like, and you have no idea. And then it just kind of happens. And you're in the hospital hours. A day goes by. And then you're finally ready. It's showtime. You know, I think my son was born at 7:26 in the morning, I believe. Might have been 7:24, somewhere in that early window, right? And so by 7 a.m., I'm sitting there thinking any second he's going to pop out. And then when he finally did, and the nurse, she hands Roman to Maddie, and they do, you know, you have to do skin to skin with the baby for a prolonged period of time. And I'm just sitting there in shock, like looking at him. And even in retrospect, I don't know if Maddie would want me to say this, but I think it's okay. She even had this moment of like, they just kind of handed her the baby, and you're in shock. You're like, what the fuck do I do with this? What do you mean? What do I do? And he's all goopy. I didn't need to say that. And you're just like staring at him like, what is this? And then the dust settles and a few hours go by and they do whatever tests they got to do and they wheel the baby back into your room and he's just napping and they give you some time and, they give her some time to rest and you're just kind of there hanging out and you're just sitting there looking at this baby and you're like, this is the rest of my life. And I don't mean that in a bad way. You're just like, wow, like it's here, like this new chapter of my life. And I got to tell you, even in that moment, neither of us felt it. I'm going to be totally honest with you, dude. Those first few, I don't really remember if it was days or like 2 weeks. Like, I don't remember the timeline of it. The immediate aftermath of like getting home and figuring out what the routine is supposed to be and like, okay, like, oh wow, we're waking up a lot in the middle of the night. Like, wow, we really are waking up a lot and all this stuff. Like, there is a part of you that, we were kind of like, what the fuck did we do? What is this? And it's especially hard. I hope I'm not scaring you, but I just want you to be in the right mind. I don't know if I'm not telling you what mindset to be in, dude, but I'm just telling you what my experience was because I'm trying to make you see that, like, you're not crazy. Especially those first few months. Like, I don't want you to think that it's just going to happen because it might not. Those first few months are brutal. They're really hard. They're wonderful, okay? So many amazing things are going to happen. So many mini milestones are going to happen. What matters is that child is healthy. That's what matters. Okay, that's the first hurdle to get over. And it's not all like, oh shit, this isn't good. Amazing things are going to happen in those first few months, but it is going to be really, really hard. And in those first few months, what makes it especially hard is the baby has no personality. And I don't mean that in the sense like, man, he's a bad hang. Like, he doesn't know when he jokes. No, I mean very literally, like, they're nothing. They're a blob. They're a complete potato. And you got to support their neck and you got to do all this stuff. And if you leave them unattended, like, you can't, like, you have to be like touching them at all times. And it's very intense, And then I think when I talk about personality, like when Roman first started learning how to smile, it was like, okay. So throughout the day, it's like, okay, I can do things that'll make him smile. And then eventually that kind of starts to turn into like a little coo or like a little tiny laugh or, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. They kind of just start to pick up on it as time goes along. That is when it really started to click with me. I can't point to you like a specific moment when I felt it or when Maddie felt it, but we both struggled with this. Even when all the stuff I talked about at the beginning, even when she was pregnant, she had moments where it was hard for her. But ultimately it's I think it's easier for a guy like me or just for the guy in this instance to sort of just become like, we were weird about, they always tell you when the baby's in their belly, you got to talk to them, read a book to them. You got to sing to them. We didn't really do that. I think we may have tried individually like once or twice, but like we just kind of felt silly. Like we just like, I don't want to say like we felt dumb, but like it just felt weird to do it. And so we kind of didn't. I don't know. I don't want you to feel crazy, man. Let me do a quick little skim of this real quick here at the end. Head move. Heard the heartbeat. Maybe it won't click until he's here and this is all real. Yeah, I think I got this. I think I got all the bases covered here, dude. It's going to be really hard, but you sound like your heart is in the exact place that it's supposed to be. And maybe this will sound silly to say, but, given how these things usually unfold, I do think it's important to give you credit for sticking this one through. Did you say you guys have been together for a couple years? So I don't remember if you included it in there, but you're a 24-year-old who got a 21-year-old pregnant. And I think that there are a lot of people who, would not see that through. And so I think the fact that you were like, okay, yeah, hey, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. And you look down the barrel of that gun with a brave face and you said, okay, like this is my bed and I'm going to sleep in it. Maybe it's a low bar, but I'm saying it just to say, like, from the beginning, clearly your heart has been in the right place. And so that's really all that you can ask for, right? is that there are plenty of days where I think I'm not a good dad and that I'm doing everything wrong and that, for one reason or another. But the truth is, my son is happy. He's learning a lot every single day. We play every single day. We do little voices every single day. I'm working my ass off for this kid. I really, really am. I've never worked so hard in my life than I do with my son all day. And as long as you can say that about yourself when the time comes, then that's what it is. That connection, that bond will form. I promise you it will. But it may take a minute. It sounds fucked up to say. It sounds crazy to say. I think if, me from 3 years ago or two, however long ago, when Maddie wasn't pregnant, we didn't have kids. If I heard somebody say, as a person who doesn't have kids, if I had heard somebody say, yeah, sometimes I'm just not feeling that connected to my newborn, or like during the pregnancy, I was just kind of like, what is even going on here? I would be like, wow, so you're a sociopath and you're a fucking piece of shit. But then you go through it. And then it's like, well, yeah, you went through it as a sociopathic piece of shit. Yeah, but I'm not. I'm like the deepest feeler in the fucking, in both of Maddie and I's families. I feel a lot of shit, man. But it's such a jarring thing to go through. And I just don't want to repeat myself too much here, man. But I just don't want you to alienate yourself and get in your own head about this. And you're going to be okay. Just support her and be there for her, because that first month for her is going to be really, really hard. And I don't know, maternity leave, paternity leave. Are you guys in school? Are you guys working? That whole situation. You just have to support her as best as you can. By the way, postpartum for men is absolutely a thing. It's real. It's like one of the only things in the world where there's just not enough research done on men about, where like it's all focused towards women. It's like the only thing in the world where that's the case, where it's like, hey, maybe we actually should look into this more for men too. Not just like more than women, like greater than sign women. I'm just saying like also maybe we should do some studies on postpartum depression for men, because it's absolutely a real thing. And I don't know. I'll end it there, man. You're not crazy, and you're gonna do great. Alrighty, folks. Spotify. In the last episode, I asked you guys, I asked Spotify, I said, what's a dream that you've given up on? I got to tell you, it's been a while since we've gotten such a flurry of just the rawest emails, man. Just the rawest emails. Some of them very, very deeply emotional. Some of them very intense. And some of them, by the way, that even I related to a lot. And I want to, have another moment. We just spent 20 minutes having a moment of authenticity, but I want to do another one and say, I really appreciate anybody that emailed in and sent in the paragraphs, these damn diatribes about stuff that they've given up on and how it's impacted their life, or people that they've even given up on. And I just really, really admire the authenticity and the rawness that you guys were willing to show in the coping hour email. So I'll just ask like I'll ask like a lighter question, but it's still very broad. The last movie. Well, let's just go wider than that. Let's cast a wide net here. The last piece of art or media that moved you to tears, that made you cry. Movie, TV show. Could be a book. Could be a book if you want it to be. An album. Last piece of art that moved you to tears, Spotify. What would that be for me? I don't... Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. You want to know what it is? I'm so dumb. I'm going to say this is my answer, by the way, because I'm dead serious. Another thing we talked about in the last episode was the new Jurassic World movie. Well, just the other day, in between this episode and the last one, I watched the original Jurassic Park. Yeah, it got me. It got me. And by the way, we were like, the pacing of that movie is so good. After 20 minutes, they're already on the damn island. Perfect. No, well, what got me? The music. The music got me when... Ellie, is that Ellie? Laura Dern's character? Laura Dern and Dr. Grant, they show up on the island and they're driving around in their little Jeeps And it's the first time that you see the Brachiosauruses, and that's like the first real dinosaur that, you know, they get to see in the park. And they do like the, you know, like the Jurassic Park theme. And it's just such a beautiful piece of music. And I was sort of, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say I was transported back in time 32 years, but I was really just trying to imagine, you know, an audience in a movie theater in 1993, like experiencing this movie for the first time. And just how powerful that music is. And I just, fuck me, all right? I cried. I did. I was just, like, smiling at the TV and with tears running down my face. I was like, this is just such a cool movie. And I just would have loved to experience this the first time. So, honestly, Nick, not really the answer that I was looking for. But it is a piece of art that did move me to tears. I didn't cry during one battle after another. The movie was just fucking rocked. It's just the best movie. It was just the best movie. Oh, it was so good. Before that, I would probably have to think too long. I haven't cried at an album in a while. I was hoping the Tame Impala album would make me cry. It did not. Okay, folks. Apple Podcasts. What's up? What's up? If you're watching this on YouTube, sure, leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. And I will catch you guys in the next one.
Control.